Hello again, I'm Robert Fitton, and I'm always talking about music because ever since I was a wee child, I've been obsessed with music. Music can do so many wonderful things. It can inspire you, it can make you move, it can pump you up, it can relax you, it can provide an atmosphere, it can provide like a social lubricant of sorts, it can bring you up and make you happy, it can make you sad, it can make you relate to different parts of the world, it can take you away on, just sitting in your house, take you away to fabulous far-off places. It can do so many things. It can annoy you as well. It can make you angry. It can make you happy. And when you add lyrics in, well, those can do all kinds of things too. You can relate to things. Lyrics can help you realize that other people can feel what you can feel. Lyrics can help you put things into words that you quite don't know how to explain, but those lyrics, they really sum up how you're feeling. And lyrics can teach you things as well. They can teach you history. They can teach you about different places. They can teach you words that you didn't know otherwise, especially words that they use in far off exotic places, because lyrics, unlike music, because music is like a universal language, but lyrics can sometimes be regionally specific, especially when you're talking about those far-off, wonderful, exotic places. And the far-off, wonderful, exotic place I'm talking about in this video is England. And growing up, especially as a child, I heard several words in songs that I really had never heard anywhere else, didn't really know what they meant. Let's start off when I'm 8, 9 years old, listening to the Beatles a lot. They had quite a few in their songs, like Penny Lane, where they're mentioning the banker never wears a Mac in the pouring rain. Very strange. Penny Lane. Had no idea what a Mac was. A Mac to me is like a Mack truck. Or, hey, Mac, like somebody would call somebody that in something that was coming out of New York or something. So, yeah, the banker never wears a Mac in the pouring rain. They also use that word in the Ballad of John and Yoko. The man in the Mac says you've got to go back. They didn't even give us a chance. But it's in the Penny Lane song where you can kind of figure out what it means, because it would be very strange if somebody's not wearing a Mac in the pouring rain, so it must be something that someone wears when it's raining, and indeed, finding out that that's actually what a Mac is. It's basically, in the U.S., we would say a raincoat. That's a slang term in England for a raincoat is a Mac, and further education will allow you to know that Mac is short for Macintosh, the last name of the guy who invented the fabric that raincoats are made out of, the waterproof fabric. So yeah, a Mac is a raincoat. Yeah, Mac. There's all kinds of other words in British slang words in Beatles songs, like, I learned what a git was because of the Beatles. Sir Walter Raleigh was apparently a stupid git, I guess, for bringing tobacco over and getting everybody addicted to cigarettes. That's in the song I'm So Tired. Such a stupid git. I had not heard git before. However, I had read the word git, because before I had discovered the Beatles, I had discovered the Monkees, because they were on TV in reruns. And so, yeah, they have a song called Randy Scouse Git. Now, I say that I had read the word but never heard it because in that song, they never say Randy Scouse Git. So I never knew what a Randy Scouse Git meant. I thought maybe it was somebody's name, like their first name is Randy, and this song is about them. Why don't you cut your hair? Why don't you live up there? That's that song. Always loved that song, by the way, with its different parts and its drums and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's the last song on Headquarters, which is an album I had as a little kid. I was probably more like 7 years old when I had this, maybe even 6. But never knew what a Randy Scouse Git was. Turns out that Randy means horny. A scouse is someone from Liverpool, and as I previously mentioned, a git is sort of a jerk or something like that. So we have a horny jerk from Liverpool. I would have never known that. In fact, this song, I guess a git is not a nice word in England, and you couldn't say that word in the 60s in certain circles. So when they released this in England, they just called the song Alternative Title. It didn't matter anyway, like I said, the song never says the words Randy Scouse Git, so they didn't have to change any lyrics. They just call it Alternative Title. But yeah, Randy Scouse Git. Filthy, filthy monkeys. Sex Pistols, when I got a little older, like later high school days. Never mind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. Bollocks. I didn't know what that was. And I think people pronounce that more as Bollocks, right? Anyway. Later on, I found out that Bollocks were testicles, which, never mind the testicles, here's the Sex Pistols, doesn't really make sense. And so a little while after that, I found out that, oh, well, Bollocks is the way that the English say bullshit. You know, so never mind the bullshit, here's the Sex Pistols. That makes a little more sense. But upon discovering the Sex Pistols, I had no idea what Bollocks were, or is. They have another word in here as well, God Save the Queen, where they say, we're the flowers in the dustbin. I didn't know what a dustbin was, but I'd heard that word before, going back to the Beatles in 1983, when I had this album when it first came out on a cassette. And there's a song on here called The Other Me, where he's saying, something had a hold on me and acted like a dustbin lid, which is a really clunky lyric, especially for Paul McCartney. This guy. He's not on the cover, he's on the back cover. On the cover of the cassette, though. But, so yeah, a dustbin. I'd never heard of a dustbin before. I did used to watch, when I was a little kid, right around 82, 83, there was Benny Hill, that was on. But he spoke with such an accent that it was hard for me to understand what he was saying a lot of the times, and a lot of it was singing type stuff. So Benny Hill would be followed up by, I want to say, an Australian soap opera. This was at night, by the way, after. This was Channel 11 in St. Louis, a syndicated channel. It wasn't one of the networks, certainly, and Benny Hill was very risque. Of course, I'm loving it. It had that, the following program contains material some viewers may find objectionable. Viewer discretion is advised. And it's like, as a little kid, that's all I needed. Well, this is getting watched, obviously. That's like, you know, that's like a beacon calling you to the TV. And then after that, it would be a show from Australia called Prisoner Cell Block H. And they would always say, rotten bitch. She's a rotten bitch and a bloody this and a bloody that. So I had heard terms like that, but I kind of figured out what a bloody something was. I knew they weren't talking about something literally with cake soaked in blood or something, but dustbin I don't think I heard until the Paul McCartney album. A dustbin in the US, that would basically be a garbage can or a trash can. The Kinks, State of Confusion. I've been starting off my journey into 1983. That's going to be my next big deep dive. This came out in 1983, just like the Paul McCartney. And State of Confusion contains the song Come Dancing. And that is where the line, there's a car park where the Palais used to stand is. Now that's a very English line because it has two words in there I wasn't familiar with. Palais. Didn't know what that was at the time. I thought that was maybe a proper name of a place, like the Roxy or something like that, maybe. But no, it means basically a theater or ballroom or concert hall or something like that. But the car park is the one I definitely remember. There's a car park where it used to stand. And I used to think they were saying there's a cop-out where it used to stand. Like this random police officer was walking around where this building was. You know, and he's making sure that nobody gets into the rubble where the building was. And no, he's saying car park. I didn't know that until I got the record and actually saw the lyrics. There's a car park where it used to stand. In the United States, that would be a parking lot. But I'd never heard car park before. Also from 1983, Bananarama has the album called Deep Sea Skiving. I didn't know what skiving was, and from the cover of the album, I always thought skiving was a combination of the words scuba diving. Like scuba and diving, you just take the middle part off there and it's skiving. But that is not, because they look like they might be underwater or something. I don't know. I thought that's what skiving meant, scuba diving, but it's not. Skiving is apparently... the words in the U.S. would be like shirking, or is that another English word? Or playing hooky, goofing off, basically avoiding doing work and just goofing around. You know, you're playing hooky, you're skiving. Pink Floyd, the song Flaming, which is excellent, just like, well, pretty much any song off this debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. But I always love Flaming. And the part where he's sitting on an eiderdown. I had no idea what that was. And I had no idea what that was for years. I thought it meant he was sitting on a cloud, because the Pink Floyd has very psychedelic, lyrics and whatever, and ha ha, I can see you, but you can't see me. No fair. No, it's a blanket, apparently. An eider down is a blanket in the U.S. anyway. The Rolling Stones, very English. In the morning, the parking tickets were just like flags stuck on my windscreen. I don't know what a windscreen is, but I figured out that if they're parking tickets and they're stuck to something, it's probably what we Americans call a windshield, which I think is a better word because it's not a screen. A windscreen would be something like on a screen door where the wind can actually blow through it. It just screens some of the force out. When you don't have a screen on your car, it's glass. It's a windshield. They say windscreen, though. They also say in a couple of later songs something about being on the Dole. I know that When the Whip Comes Down mentions it, and so does Hang Fire, but I always thought he was saying, I'm out the door. But he's saying, I'm on the Dole. No idea what on the Dole meant until I got the Clash's UK album, because it's not on the US one. The song 1977 mentions being on the Dole, and then I finally had to go find out. And on the Dole is in America what we would call being on like public assistance or welfare. In England, they are on the Dole. Dole here is like a brand of like peaches or something, or in a jar, or bananas or something like that. So yeah, those are some lyrics. There's obviously more. But I just wanted to give you some of the ones that really stuck out to me, especially those Beatles ones like The Man in the Mac and Stupid Git. And the Car Park one from the Kinks was a great one too. But there's also a band name, Budgie. I didn't know what a budgie was. I never heard the word budgie until, I'd started hearing this band in college. The first song I ever heard from them was off this album, actually. This is one of their later albums. The earlier ones are, the Crash Course in Brain Surgery. Top notch, but that's earlier. The one I heard off of here was Sky High Percentage. And first time I ever heard budgie, didn't know what a budgie was. Budgie is a bird. Is it a specific type of bird, or does it just mean bird? Leave in the comments, because I forgot to establish that before I started this video. But I think a budgie is just a bird. I don't think it's a specific kind of bird. And also in England, a bird could also mean a girl. So that caused some confusion as well. And Your Bird Can Sing Beatles song is apparently referring to a girl, not an actual bird. But birds sing, so I guess it could make sense either way. But yeah, I didn't know what a budgie was when I first heard of the band Budgie. Now, those are some words from lyrics and band names and all of that, but there is one word that I actually learned from watching vinylcommunity videos from England. I had never heard this before. I only heard this word for the first time in a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Well, actually, the phrase charity shop, I'd never heard that before. That's like a Goodwill or Salvation Army type secondhand thrift store type thing. But it's not really, it's the kind of thrift store where people donate things to it. But also the word car boot. People kept saying that in these videos and I had no idea. Grown man here, have lived for decades at this point and had never heard of a car boot in that sense. They were like, I bought this album and I found this for 25 cents at the car boot. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is a car boot? I had to go look it up. A car boot is apparently this thing that does not happen in the United States, where people go to a parking lot and they open the trunks of their cars and they sell things out of the trunk of their cars. In the United States, that wouldn't be done in a parking lot. That would be done like in a back alley, and it means that they're being very nefarious. It's not like a sanctioned thing at all. It's like you bought that out of a trunk of a car. It means that you got it hot. It was stolen, basically. Like you bought that watch out of a trunk of a car, or did that fall out of a back of a truck? That VCR. But yeah, a car boot is yeah. In the United States, when I hear car boot, that is something completely different. That is the thing that authorities will put on the wheel of a car to lock it in place because the driver has so many parking tickets or so many, infractions that they haven't paid, that they're not moving that car until some of this stuff is paid. And so the car is locked in place. It cannot be moved until the police or some sort of authority figure comes and unlocks the car boot and removes it from the wheel. So that is, actually, I don't know, it's putting a boot on a car, basically. Those two things are completely different meanings. Kind of like fanny in the two different areas. So yeah, those are just some examples of words that I learned either from lyrics, band names, or watching vinyl community videos from England. What are some American words that you learned if you're in a different part of the world from listening to music lyrics, song lyrics, or what are some English words or words from other countries that you found out by listening to lyrics? Let me know in the comments section. All that I ask is that if you are an American watching this, please do not start using these words. Don't start calling raincoats Macs. Don't start calling parking lots car parks. Leave those words to the English, please. You're not cool enough to use those words as an American. We have our own words in America, like jack shit. Usually jack shit, chicken shit, bat shit. English don't do that. We have our own words. Let's use those. Let's not be pretentious. There was this whole thing going on about a year ago in the vinyl community where American people started throwing around these English terms like they just said them organically. It was ridiculous. Please stop. And please don't use any of these English words. They are strictly for the English. I get it. I get it. You want to sound worldly. You want to sound sophisticated. You want to sound continental. I'm a man of the world. I can't help it. Yes, you can. Please don't do that. I totally get it. When I was about 13 years old, I decided to start saying petrol instead of gasoline because I thought it would make me sound sophisticated and worldly. It just made me sound ridiculous. So if you're going to start using English words as an American, just keep in mind, it doesn't make you sound worldly. It just makes you sound like a 13-year-old. I'm Robert Fithen. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.